So today we're going to start exercise 1. We're going to start with one colour, brioche knitting, and you'll notice that the bottom of this edge is very loose. So we're going to achieve that by working our cast on, just a cable cast on, over 2 needles. So that's why I've got, this is actually a circular needle, so I'm using those 2 needles there, and I've got another needle to do the cable cast on. Okay, so let's make a start. I've decided that my main colour is going to be this pale one. That will be the one we start with, and we add in a contrast as we go. As I mentioned before, the main colour will also create selvage stitches up the side, and the opposite side, the selvage will obviously still be cream, and then we just see the brown popping in and out. So whichever colour you'd like to use as your main colour, that's the one to start with. So you'll need basically 3 4mm needles, or whichever needle you're using for the yarn that you're using. So I'm just going to make a slip knot and pop it over those 2 needles there. And we're going to cast on 27 stitches. So I will just make a start and then I'll meet you back at the end of the cast on. And let's just get going with you. So to cast on with cable, pop that back on the loop, and before I tighten that stitch up, I pop my needle between those last 2 stitches so it doesn't get too tight, and then and then cast on the next one, pop that on, put the needle between those last 2 stitches, pull slightly tighter but not too tight, round, through and on. So keep going like that until you have a total of 27 stitches, and then I'll meet you back at the end. So here we have 27 stitches. We're going to remove one of the needles. Now don't worry, it might seem floppy at the moment, but this really is going to help when we do our brioche knitting. So all quite loose there, nice loose cast on. Okay, now you remember in the introduction I said that when we work 2 colour brioche, we work 2 rows each way, 1 in each colour. When we're doing 1 colour, we just do normal sort of right side, wrong side style knitting. But the first 2 rows are setup rows. So this is our right side setup row we're going to do now. So basically we knit the first stitch. Now remember that is a selvage stitch. It gets knitted on knit rows and slipped on purl rows, as we'll see. Now we're going to start making our slip 1 yarn overs. So we have to bring our yarn to the front between the needles, slip the next stitch and yarn over. But you don't have to do that yarn over yet. You can start the next stitch, which will be another knit, and then do the yarn over and the knit in one movement. Let's try that again. To the front between the needles, slip 1 stitch, knit the next stitch, take that yarn over the last stitch to knit that stitch. Yarn forward, slip 1, yarn over and knit the next stitch. Yarn forward, slip 1, and you always slip purlways so you don't twist the stitch. Yarn over and knit 1, yarn forward, slip 1, yarn over and knit 1. You soon get into the hang of it. I'll just carry on to the last stitch. We're now at the last 2 stitches, so it's yarn forward, slip 1 yarn over and then knit the last stitch. So that's our first setup row, and what we've done in that row, we've created some of these stitches that are going to have little shawls over them, which is going to start the brioche patterning. It can take a little while for the patterning to be seen, so you have to be patient. Now we've got a set up row on our wrong side row. So we slip the self-edge stitches purlwise. Okay, that's to keep them the same sort of height as the rest of the row, because the rest of the row you have to do 2 passes to actually get all the stitches worked. So to keep the self-edge stitches the same height, you knit them one row and you slip them on the next row. But this isn't brioche, there's no yarn overing on any of them, it's just a straightforward slip one purlwise. Now what we're going to do, I've taken the yarn to the back, we've come across one of these stitches with its shawl, and we're going to brioche knit it, which just means knit it, both of those bits of the stitch together. Now we bring our yarn forward and slip one yarn over again on the next stitch, get ready to knit that next one, yarn over to knit it, okay? Yarn forward. So this is exactly what we did before on the first row, but this time we are knitting those 2 strands together to create the brioche pattern. Yarn forward, slip one yarn over and brioche knit. Don't forget those 2 parts of that stitch are always worked together, the stitch and its yarn over. So I'll repeat these to the last 2 stitches. So now we've got the slip one, the yarn over is just about to happen for that. We do a final brioche knit there. And now the last stitch, we just slip it purlwise. Just leave that yarn hanging there, that's fine. So this is a wrong side row, we slip the stitches. Now when it's one colour, it can be quite difficult to see which is the right side and which is the wrong side, and you need to know that to know what to do with the self-edge stitches. So I'm just going to take a stitch marker in a different colour and pop it on this right side of the work. Anywhere on that right side. And the right side is the side where you can see your cables, like that. So that's our right side. We're going to be referring to that later on. So 2 setup rows have been done. Now we're going into a proper right side row and a proper wrong side row, and we're going to be practicing these. So we knit this. Now I did say leave this hanging here. Normally as we get further on it will be in the right place. It isn't quite here. I need to get it to the back actually. So that's where we need it to be here, because on the right side rows we are knitting the first stitch. Okay, now we carry on, bring the yarn to the forward, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. It's always the same from that point onwards to the last stitch. Slip one yarn forward and brioche knit. Yarn to the front, slip one, yarn over, brioche knit. Yarn to the front, slip one, yarn over, brioche knit. Yarn to the front, slip one, yarn over, brioche knit. Okay, just going to carry on to the last stitch. So the last stitch here, we've got our slip one yarn over, and then the last stitch, because we're on a right side row, is a knit, just a plain knit. As I say, it's going to take a little while to start to see the pattern emerging. Now let's do a normal wrong side row. So we slip the first stitch, always on a wrong side row, we don't work it. otherwise it's going to get too elongated. Yarn to the back, because we're doing brioche knits at the moment all the time. So brioche knit, yarn forward, slip one, brioche knit, yarn forward, slip one, yarn over, brioche knit. So both sides we are working brioche knits at the moment. That's because we're working in one colour, and you can do that. When you get to two colours, you have to start using purls. Yarn forward, slip one, yarn over, brioche knit. So it's really helpful if you can start to learn to read your knitting. You always know you've got to do things in pairs. So you have a normal brioche knit or brioche purl, and then you have, which goes through the stitch with its shawl, and then you have a slip one yarn over for the other pair. So if you can read what's got to be done in your knitting, that's really useful. So we've now got to the last brioche knit, and we are on a wrong side row. Because we know we've got to do a brioche knit on the next side, I will bring that stitch forward this time. You don't have to do that when you're working two colours, that's why I'm not used to it. Okay, so we're back on the right side once more. Knit the first stitch, the self-edge stitch. And now this is what I mean about reading your knitting. The next stitch is just a plain stitch. So we're going to have to turn that into a slip one, yarn over. So bring the yarn forward, slip one, yarn over. The next stitch is a stitch with its shawl, so we're going to brioche knit it. To the last stitch, slip one, yarn over and knit the last stitch. I'll do one more wrong side row with you, and we can start to see how the pattern's developing, and then you can carry on and get a few more rows practice in. So a wrong side row, slip the first stitch. Now read your knitting. This stitch needs to be brioche knitted because it's got a shawl. So take the yarn to the back and knit it. Bring the yarn to the front, slip one, yarn over and brioche knit. So to achieve brioche with one colour, you can do it with just brioche knits and slip one yarn overs. As I say, when we get onto two colours, we need to learn how to brioche purl. So we're going to practice that in the next exercise as well. Much as one colour brioche is lovely, I just think the two colour just is in a different planet really. So I would always teach you how to use two colours because it's absolutely wonderful. Last brioche knit, and we're on the wrong side, just always double check. So we slip the last stitch. And in fact, as before, because I'm used to doing two colours, bring that to the front first and slip it because you're going to need it for the brioche knit. Now you can start to see now how these little columns of knit stitches are developing. So that's on one side and also on the other. Okay, and remember, if you want to count how many rows you've done, you count the number of stitches. So we've got 2 knit stitches here, which means we've done 2 full rows, even though we've actually worked 4, because each right and wrong side row are using different stitches, so it takes 2 rows to get all the stitches worked. Before we move on to using 2 colours, I just want to show you how the yarns are held if you are a Continental knitter. Now I am exceedingly bad at this, but I'll just try and show you how I think it should work. So I'm partway through this row. I've got the yarn in my left hand. I'm just about to do a brioche knit, so in there and round. It's not too bad. Now to do the slip one yarn over, you have to go under that yarn and slip that stitch. Again, that's not too bad. Now let's brioche knit. Under the yarn, slip the stitch, brioche knit. If you're actually proficient at continental knitting, or that way of holding your yarn, it's actually faster to do brioche, I do believe. It's just that I'm not comfy with it. I could practice it, but it's not high on my agenda at the moment. Under there, slip, knit.